And you know, Christine, when you speak of the crystalline structure, what you're speaking to is the sacred geometry that exists on the micro level and on the macro level, inside and around every one of us. I mean, that's the nature of a crystal, is it is taking a molecular structure and repeating it trillions and quadrillions of times again and again in that single crystal, which allows it to work with energy because of the repeated geometric pattern. And so this is really why, as you spoke earlier and you mentioned that you've always worked with sacred geometry, and so have I, and it's something that people are drawn to, and they don't totally understand why sometimes, but as it reveals itself more and more, we see it's the perfect order of everything that exists. And that crystalline structure that the Pleiadians activated within us was really our sacred geometric origins, and they connected the points and created something that was coherent within us. And you know, that's been, I think, one of the biggest things to understand with sacred geometry is it helps foster coherence within our being so that we can hold a resonance. Incoherence is scattered, is white noise, is not which allows anything to flow through it. But when you are coherent, the crystalline structure that allows a resonance, so that just like a C tuning fork that will resonate with a C tone, we began to be created in such a coherent way as to be receptacles for the resonance of divine source, to be able to be held in this physical body on the planet and then re-radiate out to others, and in a way where our intent works with it, so that we fulfill our role of stepping into the place, as you said, where it's such a wonderful, delicious experience to be able to be of service, and at the same time to be served by every aspect of creation. And you know, this is what abundance is all about. And that's why abundance takes all the forms of being supported by the love that universe wants to bring into our lives. And that's what we're opening up to right now, because of this solidified or reorganized crystalline structure that's being activated by the heart companion and the Pleiadian form. They are all working with the geometries we find in crystals, the geometries we find throughout creation. And
creation is sacred geometry. I mean, everything has this sacred geometrical form. Anything that carries truth has that. And I think that this heart companion and the I Connect naturally realigns you back to that sacred geometrical alliance. And we are natural. It's all moving back into a natural state of being. There's another piece I want to talk about that's come to me as I've been sitting here with the heart companion. And this is another piece I came to yesterday as I was sitting with it. And the heart companion aligns you into the moment. It moves you into a space that takes you out of separation of the third dimensional illusion and brings you into a state of natural truth. As you touch it and bring your awareness to it, it aligns you into the moment, which is unlimited in itself. It's unlimited in form, but it takes you into the moment of a place of oneness, of out of the third dimensional illusion, out of separation, and that's where you move into home, into pure source connection, into that unlimited natural abundance that we all have. And this is one of the pieces that I really think is the most important right now for people to understand about the heart companion and the I Connect, that as you bring your awareness to it and touch it, you're moved out of separation. You're moved out of that illusion of that third dimensional heaviness, of the struggle, of the tiredness, of trying, and moves you into that state of being. And in that state of being, that's where the clarity, understanding, knowledge, and truth is revealed to each one of us in our own unique way. And I think that's a very, very important piece.
You're right. We often speak to that fact that when we try to do things in this world from the limited part of ourselves, the part of ourselves we sometimes call ego, that it always is limited in its creation and response. But when we create from our beingness, then it's something that is so large and lasting, and it's always for the good of all, because it's only from that place of beingness that all can be served. And it's really us getting out of the way, the small part of us, and just allowing that state of beingness to be expressed in our lives. And the love that comes with that is so delicious that how could we ever choose any other way of being?
You know, Christine, you may not know this about us because we've only recently connected. Just slightly over a year ago, we had a massive flood out here where we live in Lyons, Colorado, and about 2/3 of our land was destroyed. We used to be a football field off of this little river that was kind of a mud puddle before this all started. And fortunately, we had our eye connects. We didn't have our heart companions yet because we hadn't created them. And how we went through a very critical time was amazing to me. There was no stress. There was a sense of presence. There was a sense, just like you said, of aligning in the moment. And in every moment, we felt so connected. We felt so divinely cared for that we knew, even though we had this river that it actually came up to within a foot of the concrete pad of our driveway, and it carved a 30-foot cliff into this humongous river basin. And we didn't know whether our house was going to stay and remain standing. And yet we knew it was all divine. We knew whatever the outcome is, that it was divine purpose. It significantly elevated the energy on our land, which is for the good of all. And it was an experience of knowing that with this tool, I know that I would not have gone through it the same way without the tool. The iConnect kept us so centered, and because we were with other people, our energy centered other people as well. And everything was just like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? We were so in the moment like I had never experienced before. And so even in crisis, this thing, these tools really support us to be able to be who we are and stay connected to Source.
And when we're in that moment, when we allow ourselves to move into that, and this heart companion and I Connect actually facilitates a much easier flow into that space, back into that natural state of being. There's a rejuvenation of the cells that go on. There's like this self-healing that can take place naturally in that moment of time, because it opens the door wide for a whole transformation of the physical body as well as the energetic body. It's when we're truly alive. It's the only time we're really alive, is when we're in that moment and reconnected back to that sacred part of ourselves. And this is where we are supposed to be stabilizing. And there is a stabilization for myself, I know, in this space. And I see it accelerating on the planet. It's going to be made more and more accessible naturally to people. And this tool will support that in others to really support in stabilizing them into that space of the moment.
And it's so important because, you know, as we look out in the world, we see the news, which, you know, it's not fun to look at. However, when we do see that, we see that there's terrific tension and conflict in the world, and which we anticipated. You know, when the light is getting greater, the dark is getting, you know, more magnified.
Mm-hmm. That's always been predicted, and the Pleiadians are saying that the drama is going to become more magnified, and they're saying you either witness the drama or become part of it. But we don't have to be. We just need to be witnessing that, and those who are in that drama are having their experience, and that they need to have that. It's not like we need to save them. They're having an experience they need, that they have drawn for themselves, and we have chosen this experience right now. And the best way we can support them is to become more and more aligned in the moment within ourselves. That is the only thing we're supposed to be doing at this time. And then holding a steady space for each person to have their full experience. No one needs to be saved. You know, everyone needs to be honored for the experience they're having. And so it's really about staying in the home space, as I said, through the heart companion, opening into that home space and anchoring that. That is our gift to the world, being that for the planet and for humanity at this time.
When I was in college, I had a Zen poem behind my desk that said, "Drinking a cup of green tea, I stopped the war." And I realized, yes, you know, the more consciously we do every single act, no matter how great or how simple, our effect of coherence and focus affects thousands and thousands of others.
That is such a truth.
So indeed, you know, everything you're saying, you know, our first order of business is to bring ourselves into center and to bring ourselves into total coherence and connection with source and with spirit. And then even that with no action, but it's all action, is contained within that volume of love being anchored on the planet through the simplest of breathing, through the simplest of being. And it is the gift that we have to offer others. And then our actions will follow. But that is the first of the gifts, is just to be.
That is all that we need to do. It's that simple truth of being. And we complicate things as human beings so much, and we go into that struggling and trying, you know, that you see the human being trying so hard. And it's all about coming back to the simple truth that we are perfectly imperfect as human beings, and we need to have a self-acceptance of our imperfection and vulnerability. And that is self-acceptance and self-love. And that's all we're being asked to do, is to come back into that state of self-acceptance of our humanness, and then we can move into that enlightenment experience. And I think that's really important. And I believe that this heart companion supports that, supports and allows that to come, because that self-loving presence is found in the home space. And so it's about coming home, coming home, coming home, you know, to self.